Music and Cigars podcast. This your host, Eddie Roy. And today, I just wanted to talk about this podcast because just remember, it's not just music and cigars, it's a lifestyle. And today, I'm going to be smoking your H. Upman, the Banker cigar. This cigar comes in about a 6 by 52 ring gauge. It's a natural wrapper. It is a Ecuadorian Habana wrapper with a Nicaraguan binder, as well as a Dominican Republic and Nicaraguan filler. Very great cigar. Today we're just gonna get into a few things. I want to recap on some of the episodes that I recorded previously on episode 2 and 3. On episode 2, we had a very knowledgeable tobacconist by the name of Zach Malloy, which he is located out there in Nampa, Idaho, um, at the V Cut Cigar Lounge. Secondly, we have on the third episode we recorded. I would like to shout out a very skillful DJ by the name of DJ Reek. He spins records here locally in Huntsville, where I currently reside, Thursday through Saturday. You can catch him at the fourth quarter. And like I said, this is this podcast has been one of the best decisions that I made because, like I said, every day when I get off of work, if you've been following my vlogs on YouTube at Music and Cigars, I would be smoking cigars after a long day at work and listening to music and recapping on what it is that I actually smoked that evening, and also what I have been listening to and my take on the various artists. So when those two guests came in, Zach Malloy and DJ Reek came into the podcast, that was just a taste of what is to come. I'm still searching and looking for guests that would like to be hosted on the show. I would like to be a guest on the show. But until then, I'll be doing the solo dolo thing, man, because the origin of this podcast was me just sitting down in the back on my porch and just recording and vlogging on what I actually like to smoke for that evening and what I actually listened to that week. So, like I said, I really appreciate Zach Malloy and DJ Reek for coming on. There will be many more podcasters or guests to come on the show. Y'all just stay tuned. And before I get into this whole show, this podcast is sponsored by Music and Cigars. This is your podcast, your favorite podcast. You'll be able to stream this podcast anywhere on all social media platforms, from iHeartRadio, from Audible, from Spotify, iTunes, Dozer, Podcast Addict, you name it. Anywhere you consume your podcast, this podcast is now available. What I like about the Banker cigar is that the origin of it came from two German bankers. Excuse me. The origin of it came from two German bankers. I think they were brothers, as a matter of fact. And there were two brothers that decided to want to indulge and get into the cigar game. And when they got into the cigar game, they wanted to, while they were banking, they wanted to figure out a way they can show their their employees. I'm not their employees, but their um, uh, what do you say? Their I would say their members, their banking members. They would show them appreciation by making them cigars, great cigars, and putting them into go votes. They will actually make special cigars, and put those in special votes for the cigar connoisseurs or the members that were into cigars, which I think is quite clever because I think, moving forward, if I had my brother and I, if we would have put our minds together and came out with a great cigar, we would kind of do the same thing, kind of like beta test it before launching it to the public and giving it to special members. So I think those two brothers, the Upman brothers, the H Upman brothers, were quite clever, if you ask me, because they came up with things that they could. They came up with the idea, which is smoking cigars and going overseas to the Dominican Republic and getting their uh, tobacco processed as well. So yeah, shout out to the H Upman brand. I really enjoyed this brand a lot. My uncle Dexter, as a matter of fact, put me on this cigar, and it's a great cigar. I couldn't ask for a better recommendation. If you haven't already, check it out on your local lounge or your online. You can check it out online or anywhere a premium cigar club that you will consume your cigars in the mail. Check it out. I recommend looking at it and looking for it and smoking your the bank. Another H Upman cigar that I like is the Annuity. The Annuity cigar that I like the most is one of the best cigars in the H Upman brand, other than the Banker. The Banker is just like a start off for the people that actually smoke cigars or get just now getting into cigars. And I'm no expert by far. I just love and enjoy smoking cigars. I'm still learning. I've been smoking cigars for almost I would say I'll be smoking cigars for about 4 years now. And every year I learn something new. I meet people that are um, I meet people that are into cigars. I also um, uh, build a connection, and I build my palate up by trying uh, different cigars. Um, the main thing that really took me by surprise when I first started smoking cigars is that when I smoked cigars, um, I wasn't really, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I just know that I wanted to smoke something different than other than Black and Mild. So once I first started smoking them, I said, man, wow, this is actually a good experience. Let me dive into this a little bit more. Um, Try different tobaccos, blends that these brands have to offer. And man, I've been smoking cigars ever since. And like I said, every day when I get off of work, I'll come home, play with the kids, man, and just chill and relax. But I will also be smoking my cigars and listening to music. Hook my Bluetooth speaker up. I usually generally around this time, around 7 o'clock, I would play some old school music or some R&B. Um, I would also be playing a little bit of rap. Here lately, I haven't been playing as much rap, but I usually play a little bit more of the um, um, old school R&B because I think the old school R&B, when you smoke a cigar, it makes you feel good. You can be having a long day, and all of a sudden, when you light that cigar up and you um, and you light that cigar up and you listen to your music, you just can't help but to wonder, what it is exactly is in the tobacco. Because when you smoke the cigar, like I said, you have a bad day, and then off after smoking it for maybe 20 minutes, you'll have a good day. And that's what I really appreciate and love about these cigars. Um, what I like to talk about and transition to talking about now is the artists that I've been listening to lately. Aside from smoking this H. Upman cigar, which I said is a great cigar if you haven't already, um, check it out at your local cigar lounge. Um, I would say the music that I've been listening to for a long time for this week would be Eddie Kendrick's "Intimate Friends," um, Minnie Riperton, "Inside Your Love," the old Isley Brothers, uh, a little bit of Ari Lennox. I know some of y'all fellas is probably saying, Ari Lennox, but if you really listen to Ari Lennox has one of the most soothingest, if that's a word, voice that you can have uh, in this era. Aside from my favorite, Erica Badu. Erica Badu is one of the most skillful artists that I would say that I really enjoy listening to. So uh, Anthony Hamilton, Music Soul Child, all of those artists, I think in the neo soul realm, are artists that I recommend you listen to. One of these days, I want to come up with a uh, way that you all could listen to the music that I listen to while I smoke cigars. So y'all can just get a taste of what my taste in music is. I generally like to listen to R&B. I generally like to listen to rap, gospel, but I don't really discriminate. Maybe some country. I listen to some country, but overall, I would say that my taste in music is good. I've had neighbors come, down the street a couple of doors down, and while they were going inside or leaving on their way, and say, "Hey, man, what is it that you playing, man?" Because you're always playing good music, and I'm very humbled by that because that tells me that I have good taste in music. So, you know, um, when I was a youngin, which this podcast is, if some of you that don't know, this podcast was actually named after an album by Ludacris, which is actually called excuse me, Chicken and Beer, which I got music and cigars from. I came up with it with my uncle, and it was a great idea to me at the time, and it still is today, because it represents, who I am and what I like to do. Um, yeah. So another thing that I want to say is I apologize for those listeners that I had on YouTube or on these podcasting sites. I've been on a little hiatus ever since May 25th. That's actually the day that my sister got married. And I just want to say I apologize to y'all. Um, I wanted to dedicate myself to coming up with more content that you all could chill and listen to on the way to work or while you're smoking. But right now, I just been on a hiatus so far, but I'm back. I'm going to continue on making more podcasts or more episodes for you all, for the listeners that are tuning in. I really enjoy listening to you all feedback when y'all email me as well. Listening to your feedback from the voices, if you the voiceovers that you all send to me through email. If you don't know by now where to find me or how to get in touch with me, visit musicandscigars.com. Go all the way down and hit sign up or tune in, and it'll take you directly to a site to where you can email me and let me know your feedback. Let me know what you think about the podcast so far. Let me know if you're interested in joining and coming into the podcast because I certainly need more interesting guests. Like I said, shout out to Zach Malloy and DJ Reek for coming on to the show. It was a pleasant experience. I really enjoyed both of them coming on to the show and giving their knowledge about tobacco and music, And if you're in a Huntsville area, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're in the Huntsville, Alabama area, or around the surrounding city, hey, feel free to hit me up on my platforms. You can get in touch with me at Music and Cigars, and we could maybe collaborate, and I can bring you on the show. I would love to have more people on the show, such as veterans, to get a chance to pick their brains and ask them what exactly got them into cigars. I would also like to uh, get into a deep conversation with artists that are coming out, in the local area or surrounding area, or you don't even have to be in the area. Just as long as you have a passion for music, and you're trying to get your stuff off the ground, or already have it off the ground. Hey, my platform is here for you to get your music out there and talk about what it is that you're passionate about, which is music and cigars. I really appreciate you all for tuning in. I remember when I had before I started these episodes, I remember when I only had maybe 3 or 4 listeners, and I've grown. I've checked out my analytics and I looked at my target audience, and I really am starting to see that the more and more I come up with content, the more and more I reach the people that I desire to reach. Thank you so much for supporting my page, um, my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok, uh, uh, my webpage, my podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to Music and Cigars. Like I always, I'm here to educate and elevate. And you know, that's one of the main things that got me into this whole music and cigar things is educating and elevating the listeners on what it is that different different songs and albums to get into, and different cigars they should try. Um, the last thing before I close out this episode, I would like to say to the listeners out there that um, you can uh, you can do anything that you want to do as long as you just be yourself and stay positive. For those of you that are thinking about doing a podcast, I highly recommend it because it's a great hobby to do. To me, it's therapeutic. And like I said, if you're looking at the title below, it's not just a podcast of music and cigars, it's a lifestyle. Thank you so much for tuning in to Music and Cigars. And like I said, you can find me on any platform, on any streaming platform. Just type in Music and Cigars. And I look forward to bringing on more guests into this podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and y'all have a nice night. Peace.